Sherry Raskis, Zichron Aleh Shalom, Shoshana Leah Basar of Moshe, commemoration of her yurtzeit, and Bella and Barry Weintraub in memory of Bella's father's yurtzeit, Hanan Rosen, Elchanan Feivel Shraga Ben Aaron Yosef, and that's right? Isn't it a big person? Baruch Hashem. Big people, the Neshama Shavalios. We will learn Li'ilui Nishmatam. All right, let's get it going on a special Rosh Chodesh edition. Here we go. All right, Yeshkoch to everyone who made it happen. Welcome back to Juan.
Yeah.
And Baruch Hashem. Okay, so we're going to see a piece this morning, kind of two sides of one piece. And the first part is based on all of the different, like, kind of little things that you don't think about, right, in the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, we talk about the Aron, and we talk about the Shulchan, and we talk about the Menorah. But, you know, there's a smaller amount of attention that's given to the Karsei HaMishkan. Those are the hooks. There were 50 gold hooks. And the Yiriot HaMishkan. Those are the curtains. And the Krashim, the Karshei HaMishkan. And those are the planks or the boards that it's made, right? And you understand where what I'm getting to, right? This is the nuts and bolts, right, of the whole, literally the nuts and bolts of the whole system. Okay? It's nice, right? It's nice to have the big shiny things, and holy things, but there's a tremendous amount of holiness in the support system, right? That sustains it, and enables it to remain. So if you look at the first piece on the right-hand side in Shin Pei Chet, the Kli Yakar he talks about the numbers in particular that are related here. So he talks about the Chamesh HaYiriot, the 5 curtains, and there was like 5 to 5, right? That the Chamesh HaYiriot, there are 5 curtains that correspond to another 5 curtains, and it's about like kind of getting into the code from that separates between the Kodesh, the holy, and the Kodesh Kadashim, etc., etc. So he says, "V'hinei makom iti lefaresh chamesh mul chamesh." So there's this 5 to 5, 5 corresponding, kind of facing each other. Here's one way another way I could explain it. Keneged masha amar Rabbeinu Zal b'Maseches Brachos. Hani chamisha barchi nafshi amar David keneged haneshama. That the 5 barchi nafshi, everyone's favorite tefillah. I push myself this month. I'm actually going to say it right at Rosh Chodesh. It's really hard. It's really long. Okay, but there are 5 barchi nafshis that are said that correspond to the soul, to the neshama. In which this soul is compared kind of like mirrors Hashem, right? The soul is similar to Hashem. So it's like this kind of, these parallels that are pointed out. Again, the 5 to 5. And they're connected through the 50 gates of wisdom, Ka'amur, right? There are 50 gates of wisdom. We've spoken about this before. One of like the coolest things, most interesting, I think, kind of little Bartlach you'll find is Moshe, right? How Moshe obviously is climbing not only climbs the mountain, but he's climbing really the gates of wisdom, right? The levels and layers of understanding of Hashem and the ability to understand Hashem in this world. But the reality is you can only get to Memtei, you can only get to 49. Just like we'll be talking about in a few weeks, that the Jewish people are on the 49th level of Tumah, there's the 49 levels of wisdom. Then there's the 50th. But in order to be on the 50th, you're kind of like, you're not in this world anymore, right? What's the name of the mountain that Moshe dies on and is buried in? Har Nevo. Take the letters. Nun, Bo. Moshe dies. I've said this before. You've probably heard this before. But if you didn't, you're going to hear it again. Because it's amazing. Because it's something to really aspire to. Moshe dies on the mountain of 50 is within him. Nun, Bo. Right? He achieved that level, that 50th level of wisdom. Nun, Bo. Right? And that's where he dies. So, Ve'aved yaminu re'eh. Ki kol ma shebara HaKadosh Baruch Hu yesh bechulam eze emtza'iyah mechaber shnei haktzavot. He says you could look around and see that in everything that God created, there's something in every sort of two things, there's some medium that connects them. There's some connective tissue. והסכימו כל מפרשים לומר שהאדם מצד היות בו חלק אלוקה ממעל מחובר אל גוף הנגוף, and all of the Mefarshim agree that when you think about our like who we are, right? So humanity. So we have a neshama, we have a soul, and then the soul is somehow connected to the goof, the body that's naguf. What does naguf mean? Like a negev, right? That it's stricken, right? The body it's physical. It's missing something. It's not perfect. So you have the infinite connected, the infinite soul connected to the finite body. Hinehu ha'emtzayim etzarif elyonim v'tachtonim ve'oseh shalom bein pamalya shel mala v'shel mata v'vilti hayot bahem hitnagdut. He says that if you think about it, right? So you have humanity. What we are a medium in and of ourselves, right? In what sense? Because you have Shamayim, you have the spiritual world, and then you have ours, you have the physical world. And who binds it all together? Us. And you can think about, right, as we've been, unfortunately, sitting, be'emek habacha, especially this week, right? We've been in the Valley of Tears with all of, Nebuch, with the Bivas family, and all the, people coming home, and you can think about it, right? You could see the contrast very clearly of people who can't make that, that connection, right? And they veer too far towards the physical. Or even if you veer too far towards the spiritual, when you're some mishugana that's yelling Allahu Akbar while you're killing chas v'shalom a baby, you're missing the point, right? You've got to find there is a middle ground, and it's our job to bring that out. It's oseh shalom. It brings peace between the upper realm, the heavenly realm, and the earthly realm. That's us. So just as the person is that medium, that connector, that connective tissue, so too the creation of humanity comes from Mizbach Adamat HaSeli. Ki Beis HaMikdash Gam Kein Merkaz HaOlam Ve'amakom HaMitzaref El Yonim V'Tachtonim. So in the same way, that's actually the role of the Beis HaMikdash. That's the role of the Mishkan. What does it do? It connects Shamayim V'Aretz. It connects, it's the junction between heaven and earth. Ki Shama Salo HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mador V'Tachtonim, because that's the place that God chose as his place to reside, as his dirah here in this world. Just as God showed Yaakov on the ladder, right? What happened? You have a ladder that's mutzav arza, that's firmly based in the ground, physical, but it's Rosh Magia Shemaima. But it's the top of the ladder goes all the way to heaven. Ve'emtza shipuo kineged Beis HaMikdash. And according to the Medrash, right, it kind of points out that it was kind of like the ladder, Jacob's ladder, the dream is kind of like, it was like a diagonal ladder, slanted ladder. It kind of goes like this, right? It went like this, because here, what's the middle, what's the means, what's the connective tissue? The Beis HaMikdash. Okay? And that's how it worked. Ki haya sulam mechaber eretz l'shamayim al yidei HaMikdash shebe'emtza. The ladder connected heaven to earth through the Beis HaMikdash. That was the mimutza. Ki hamakom hahu hamiyuchad liyot mador le'elyonim v'tachtonim hu ha'emtzayim hamitzarfam. Because specifically, it's going to be the place that God chose as that place where heaven meets earth and earth meets heaven. That's what Hashem chose to bring everything together. And that's why you find in the Beis HaMikdash things that connect kind of those opposites, that are things corresponding to the other. And that's like what we were saying, that the 50 hooks connect the Yiriot, the 5 on 5. Asher hayu chamesh mem netzunim al kodesh kodeshim, chelek elyonim, vechamesh mem netzunim al kodesh yesh bo chelek tachtonim, ve'akrasim mitzarfim otam. Right? Remember, what did we say? That there's heaven and earth, and what connects it. There's the body and the soul, right? There's humanity, and what connects it? The Chamishim Shari Bina, the gates of wisdom, right? How do I live a meaningful life? Ashrei Yoshvei V'Secha Od Yahalalu Hasela, right? Praiseworthy, happy is the person. A meaningful life, Osher is a meaningful life. A meaningful life is when you're in the house, right? You're in the base of Mikdash. When you're in the Beit Knesset, when you're in the base of Medrash, when you're living your life with an understanding that I don't have all the answers, and I need to seek those answers. It's an amazing, I'm going to talk about more on Shabbos, amazing, Rav Ariel's been sending me all these things. I'm getting from other people also, all of the things coming out about these released hostages. People who, a guy, what's his name? Ori Tzachi, the one who, no, Sharabi, it was Eli Sharabi. He said, he was quoted, he said, I never said Shema Yisrael in my life. I never said Shema in my life. All of a sudden I'm going to say Shema, right? The Yarden Bibas, secular people, you know, Baruch Hashem, right? Salt of the earth, part of the Jewish people, convert to Islam. They asked him, they told him, convert to Islam, will go easier on you, his captor said. And he said, what? You're going to hear it again tomorrow, because you have to hear. He said, I was born a Jew, I was born a Jew, and I'm going to die a Jew. Sounds like, by the way, Daniel Pearl. Sounds like Daniel Pearl. It's unbelievable. I'm getting goosebumps when I talk about it, because it's unbelievable. That's what it is. It's the connective tissue. Judaism, Yadus, Torah, mitzvahs, the connective tissue of humanity, right? That's what we need. That's how we roll. And then he says, V'deu sham Rabbeinu Zal, Nirim hakrasim b'mishkan ki kochavim barakia. And that's what he says. The Yerushalmi says that the krasim, the hooks, appeared like the stars in the sky. I guess you can imagine, right? The hooks were made of, you know, a precious metal, and you're looking at it, and you know, I guess it shined, whatever. Ki hakochavim hema olama emtzai shebein ha'olam ha'elyon u'bein ha'olam ha'tachton, u'kemo she'hakochavim emtzaim. What does he say? He says that the stars in the sky, what we see, space, is the medium, the connective tissue between what? Between like the physical universe and the spiritual realm. Isn't that cool? You don't think of it that way, but that's what it is. By definition, it's what it is, right? The universe is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, and then there's there's the Olamos Elyonim, that's above the stars. So he says that's why the Krasim look like the stars, right? Because it's the same idea, it's that connective tissue. As it says also in the last paragraph, that those who make righteous the multitudes are like stars in the sky. These are the righteous that are the foundations of the world. Because that's what the righteous do. They connect, right? They connect heaven and earth. They connect people to each other. How do we end every Shemona Esrei? Osa Shalom Bimrama. Kodesh Baruch Hu makes a connection between heaven and earth. Hu Yasa Shalom Aleinu, making peace and connection between us. Right? And then all of us have to connect in that kind of way. Right? If you refuse to engage in Torah, you refuse to engage in your Yiddishkeit and like kind of foster your Jewish identity and further it, you're missing something. What you're doing when you're matzdik something, you're fortifying it, right? You're fortifying, like matzdik, you're making it just, you're making it righteous, you're sustaining it, you're fortifying it. So what are you doing? If you engage in a life of Torah, right, then you're fortifying like those connecting those opposites together, the heaven and the earth together. If not, whatever, you're kind of letting it go. Mitam zeh, we're on the top left. Umitam zeh naaseh kan od nes acher hamoreh al inyan zeh hu bariach hatichon. This is another miracle that comes about through this that represents this, and that's that the middle kind of bariach hatichon is like the middle beam. Shaya mabriach min hakatzeh lakatzeh, right? It really connected the whole thing, right? It's the kind of like a foundational beam. And it connected both sides. And right, אלא ודאי כדי שנלמד מזה שכל תיכון באמצעי מחבר קצוות, כמו המקדש והצדיק וכוכבים כאמור, ובמדרש אמרו שיעקב הביא עמו הבריח התיכון למצרים, ואולי למד זה ממרי הסולם. Right? So he says that the Medrash says that Yaakov maybe brought this bariach, this foundational plank or beam, right, that pulled everything together. He said, like, that's the point, right? It's like the stars, it's like the righteous person, it's like the Beis HaMikdash, like a human being, if we're doing the right thing. He said that Yaakov, whatever this means, and we'll see in a moment what it means, brought this bariach hatichon, he brought this foundational beam with him into Egypt. And maybe he learned it from the Sulam, right? Maybe he's saying he learned it from the ladder story. As he knows, he's going into Eretz Yisrael. That's what Yaakov was saying was, okay, I'm leaving Eretz Yisrael right now, right? But I'm going to Egypt, but I'm bringing this B'riach HaTichon with me. And what's that going to do? It's going to connect us back. Right? I might be going this way, it's kind of connect us back. It's like I say, nowadays there seems to be, from a geographical and demographic perspective, a Jewish triangle. And I actually saw it in an article recently, but I've been saying this for the past year and a half. What's the Jewish triangle? It's New York, it's Florida, and Israel. Right? It is. Think about it. Right? It's the B'riach HaTichon, right? The Emir Tashem, we'll all get there as we need to be. But no, we have to know that there's a slope that's pointing towards Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so look at the next piece very quickly. So now these are the beams, the planks. Excuse me. V'gomer hakrashim deheya yediyah. It says take the planks, right? That's how you're going to build, the Mishkan, okay? And it's written beheya yediyah, the planks. Why does it say that? Just take planks, like any pieces of wood. Hainu otana razim shenatalem Yaakov b'Mitzrayim. So he says, right? And he's picking up what we just said. The Medrash says that Yaakov planted these cedar trees in Egypt. He brought cedar with him, saplings or seeds or whatever, and he planted them there. And then when we left Egypt, we brought them with us. He was waiting for it. Simam l'davar hakrashim la'mishkan olu l'mispar Yaakov avinu natal lahem arazim b'Mitzrayim. This is a very you could go ahead and for all you mathniks, you could go ahead and look up this gematria. I'm not doing it. Hakrashim la'mishkan, he says, it comes to the same number as Yaakov avinu natal lahem arazim b'Mitzrayim. Yaakov, our forefather, planted for them cedars in Egypt. Kimispar shneim tav reish tzadihei. They all come. It comes out to the same number. What's he really trying to say? Gene Farber would not like this. Ki amar Yaakov la'Kadosh Baruch Hu b'amet titratzel maaseh egel. Yaakov said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he saw in Ruach HaKodesh, according to this, right? He saw through prophecy, prophetic spirit, that the Jewish people were going to sin the golden calf. So Yaakov said, Hashem, how's this going to work? How are you going to be appeased? How are you going to forgive them? So he says, I'll be appeased through the atzei shitim. V'chein isa, which is the acacia wood. V'chein isa b'medrash atzei shitim l'chaper al shtus maaseh egel v'nirtzalem l'chapar l'ifnei Hashem v'chein masik v'tanchum. It'll be through atzei shitim, from the shtus, from the foolish act of the maaseh egel. That's how you'll bring atonement for me. So the fact that it said atzei shitim she'omdim le'olam, they're standing forever. He seems to be equating the acacia with the cedar. They're both strong trees. They're both strong. They're different trees, but they're both very, very strong trees and fit for building. But according to this, no, that was the point. God said, you know how I'm going to forgive, I'll be appeased? You'll make up for it. You'll build a Mishkan. You'll bring me back into your life. What did the Egel said, God, we're good. We don't want you in our life. We'll take this. We'll have this golden calf. It's not just about idolatry. We remembered idolatry. It's more than that, right? That he was supposed to be, Moshe was gone. And they needed their medium again. They felt like we couldn't have a connection to Hashem. We needed a medium, as we just discussed. So, and what did we say? Oh, we'll use what we have in the past. We'll have a golden calf. And it could sort of give us the ability to abdicate our connection in a direct connection to Hashem. Hashem says to Yaakov back, you know what it's going to be? They're going to build this for me. And they build this for me, what they're going to be saying is, I want you in my life, Hashem. Right? How many people, just push away, I can't, I don't want, no, I want you here. I want you in my home. I want my home to reflect the divine presence, have the Shekhinah resting in the home. I want to be in your home, Hashem. I want to be in a shul, right? I want to send my kids to Jewish schools, that kind of thing. אך כפי הפשט שיעקב הכין אותם לעבוד הספייס אלוהים נוכל לומר שלכך אמר עומדים לומר שיקחו מאתן עצי שיטים עומדים מוכנים לכך כי זה משמעות לשון עומדים בהרבה מקומות, right? They were waiting for that. It was מוכן ועומד לכך. ובא הרמז בארזים אלו למה שנאמר צדיק כתמר יפרח כארז בלבנון יזכה. Right? A righteous is compared to a cedar, as we say in Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos. Since a righteous person is compared to a cedar, al kain hishkim Hashem yisbarach shchinaso toch mizchitzas atzei arazim lomod b'kal v'chomer shu shochen gam b'toch b'nei Yisrael. Therefore, what did Hashem do? Hashem said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring my presence and rest it in within a structure, right? That's built through these trees, through the acacia wood and the cedars. In essence, saying, you know where I reside? I don't just reside in a house. I don't just reside in a structure. I don't just reside in a building. Where do I reside? Tzadik hatamar yifrach. I reside in you, right? If you make yourself a receptacle and vehicle for my presence. As it says, U'kamosh nemar v'shachanti b'tocham. V'tocho lo nemar ela b'tocham. Lomar she'ikar hashchina ba'avur Yisrael. Right? It's like when the Beis HaMikdash was being destroyed, right? And they're like, oh, why are you crying? You're crying over sticks and stones, right? And Yirmiyahu, says to these this guy that's saying that to him, and he says, no, you don't understand. It's not about the sticks and stones, right? It's something more. It's something more. I'm crying about about being kind of pushed away from God's presence, and we want to be able to come back. And that's why they say also that Hashem took out his anger on the Jewish people of that time, the time of the Churban, right? Instead of taking his anger on the people, what did he do? He took his anger out on the sticks and stones, on the house. But ultimately, the Jewish people went into Shekhinah, went into Gala, the Jewish people went into exile, Shekhinah Gala Imayim. Hashem's presence went with them. Uval Aturim Perish Arba'im Ushmona Krashim Keneged Arba'im Ushmona Nevi'im. So he says there were 48 planks. Okay, remember the Krashim that we just talked about? Keneged Arba'im Ushmona Nevi'im Ve'arba'im Ushmona Mishmerot Kehuna Leviyah. That corresponds to the 48 prophets and the 48 rotations of the Kehuna Leviyah who served in the Beis HaMikdash. Umaynya Nama La Krashim. What does that have to do with the Krashim, the planks? Right, with these foundational boards, imlo lefisha tzadik nimshala eres ka'amur. Right, it's to show that the people are compared to the eres, and it's something that we should think about as we head into the month of Adar, into Rosh Chodesh Adar, where there's we're tempted to say, again, we're still dealing with it. We're still in that Megillah story, and part of the Megillah story is there's no God. There's no God in the Megillah, right? God's name doesn't appear in the Megillah, and that's we're tempted to say, God, He left us. He left us. Look at what we're going through. Look at what we're enduring. It's the exact opposite. Our role, our job is to continue to increase Hashem's presence in this world, to be matzdik harabim kachochabim la'olam va'ed, and just like we were promised. That we will be like the stars in the sky, and we will punch above our weight, and we will eternally be there as long as we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. In Yirtzeh Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we'll dwell in all of our homes, we'll dwell in all of our families, we'll dwell within all of Klal Yisrael and within all of Medinat Yisrael, and in Yirtzeh Hashem see the safe return of all of our hostages and an end to this interminable war, and see a true Shalom al Yisrael b'mher b'yameinu. Amen. Amen.